You know, this is the Sync3 screen that we're going to be met with when the vehicle's first turned on. So as you can see there, the vehicle itself is equipped with factory navigation. You do have the ability to run off of Android Auto or Apple CarPlay instead if that's what you prefer. But looking there, we've got a beautiful map display. My phone is connected, so as you can see there, we do have the connection there. We can look at basic contacts, etc. And then this is going to be what's actively playing. So whether that's the radio, our phone, whatever the case may be. Up along the very top though, so we go to menu for a second there. And as you can see, we have a ton of different options. Now this is for navigation specifically, because as you can see there at the top, we were looking at the map. So by pressing that menu button there, we've got a ton of options. So look at our screen list. Navigation settings are going to be the big one there. Basic settings, we've got our map preferences. So 3D city model, breadcrumbs are interesting. So with breadcrumbs enabled, as we start to travel, it'll leave little dots of the direction of the routes that we've taken. Point of interest icons, if you want gas stations, coffee shops, things like that to show up, we can turn that setting on. Moving into our route preferences, so we've got a few options there. Route preferences, we've got the ability to select between fastest, shortest, most eco-friendly, use HOV lanes, avoid freeways, toll roads, ferries, tunnels, etc. Now one of the nice things about whatever settings you have there, it's going to automatically and dynamically update the map. So if you don't like to take toll roads like the 407, etc., we can hit avoid toll roads and we're going to make sure that that map is completely going to avoid those roads. Last one is going to be our navigation preferences, so our guidance prompts, we can change between voice and tones, voice or tones. And that's what's going to happen when you come up to an upcoming turn. As the voice and tone, it's going to say, turning in 200 meters. And then it'll give you a little chime versus the voice versus just the chime. So really a matter of preference, which one happens there. And moving back, other ones to point out are going to be our home and work addresses. So with these addresses set up, what we can do is actually press the button on the steering wheel for our voice there, and we can just say navigate home, and it'll automatically update the navigation to take us to our home or work address. So really recommend making sure you set those ones up. And then jumping back to that home screen again. As we start to move into our audio settings, let's check that out for a second. So our basic audio settings, we've got the ability to choose between our sources, so AM, FM, Sirius XM, my phone audio there. So we've got a number of different options there. As we move back into some basic settings, we have got the ability to tune a few different ways. So we can tune using this by direct tuning. So we can type in a radio station there and hit enter, and it's changed the station. We've also got a little tuning knob down there, so we can use that instead. Or we can also use the button in order to tune using our voice. So tons of different ways we can do it. Really, really nice there. If you want to save a preset, once you've changed to the station that you'd like to, whether it's AM, FM, Sirius, etc., we're just going to press and hold for a second. And as you can see, and it saved it. Very, very straightforward in order to set this thing up. Next up, adding a phone is a very straightforward process. So if we click on phone for a second, as you can see there, it's giving us the option to turn on a phone, or add in a phone, I should say. So we're going to hit add phone.
Search for your vehicle on your device and select it once it is found.
Okay. Next up, on your phone, whether it's Android or Apple, you want to make sure that your Bluetooth is turned on. And watch what happens. Ford Explorer. So we're just going to connect.
Confirm that the pin displayed on Sync matches the pin displayed on your device.
Okay, so we want to make sure that the pin numbers match, and in this case they do. So we're just going to hit pair. And we're going to hit yes on the screen.
For your safety, please stay alert to changing road conditions and use Sync's voice-activated features while your vehicle is in motion.
Okay, so as you can see, automatically contact downloads. We want to make sure that that happens to automatically download our contacts to the vehicle. And it's also asking us if we want to allow our contacts and favorites to sync. We absolutely want to do that. And as you can see, my phone is now connected. It's really that simple. So we can take a look at my contacts, my phone, we can go to my keypad, use Siri, my text messages, etc. So really, really neat. One thing to point out is if we look at the app screen here, actually wait for this to load up. And there we go. So go to our app screen there. As you can see, LiveX Live. Certain apps will work through their middle screen. So we've got LiveX Live, Spotify, Waze, things like that will work directly through the middle screen. So I love that capability. In order to be able to remove a phone, we're just going to go to Settings. And if you're at the top, all we're going to do is scroll down to Connectivity, click on our phone, we can view devices, we can change the tones and things like that. But if we go view devices, we've got all of the connected devices there, and we can click on it to either disconnect or fully remove. If we fully remove, as you can see, jumping back into phone, the phone is now completely disconnected. Factory navigation, very straightforward, very similar to what we just finished seeing in the home screen there. So we've got the ability to easily search for an address just by pressing search. And we can start entering the address. Now it is an autocomplete, so you don't necessarily have to type in the full address, but as you can see there, we do have the address showing up, so we can just click on any of these things. And we can either save it or we can just start. So if we start, it'll build the route for us based off of our preferences.
Obey traffic laws, be alert, and use voice commands while driving.
And it tells us where to go.
Proceed to the highlighted route, and then the route guidance will start.
Thanks, Sync3. So we've got a couple options from there. We can cancel the route out. We can look at some basics. We can zoom out. Canceling the route, yes, let's cancel it out for a second, and it is now gone. That's straightforward. We can use this hotkey in order to navigate to home or work. Very straightforward. Jumping back into our menu, so very similar to what we just saw on that home screen. And that's going to be the basics of the navigation system. As we start to move into some other settings, there are a ton of options here. So let's start off at the very top with our basic assistant settings. So we've got some things for driver assistance. So we've got our cruise control. Now we have 3 different modes there. So we've got our normal. So that's going to be just your regular normal cruise control. We've got the adaptive, which is essentially a set it and forget it cruise control. So let's say if you set it at 120 kilometers an hour, if the vehicle in front of you brakes, yours will automatically slow down. If they pick up speed, get out of the way, yours will automatically pick back up to speed again. Intelligent cruise control takes the adaptive to the next level. So we've got an option here for tolerance level. So when tolerance comes up in a second there, we can select what our tolerance level is and what that means. Let's say if you're traveling with the adaptive cruise control on at let's say 80 kilometers an hour, the posted speed limit drops from 80 to 60, and we've set a tolerance of 10. So what would happen is the vehicle would automatically and intelligently drop us down to 70 kilometers an hour instead. So really, really neat system. I love the intelligent side of things. And as we start to move down, we've got our lane keeping system, which also works 3 different ways. First way is going to be a steering wheel shake. So actually, let's go to the alert first. So what's going to happen there is if you start to veer over without signaling, you'll get a little shake on the steering wheel, almost as if you're running over rumble pavement. When you get the aid, what'll happen is if you start to veer over, it'll automatically take over the steering wheel and it'll recenter you for you. The last one is the alert and the aid, which will give you both. So it'll give you a little bit of a steering wheel shake while at the same time recentering you and pulling you back into your lane. From there, we've got alert intensity, so either a high, normal, or low, and that's going to be the intensity of the steering wheel shake. Couple other things to point out. We've got our PreCollision Assist with our distance indication, active braking. If the vehicle senses a potential collision, with active braking, it'll automatically brake for you. If for whatever reason it can't brake in time or it wants to try to get out of the way, evasive steering will take over. It'll take over the steering wheel and try to pull you out of the way in order to either eliminate or minimize the impact of the collision. From there, we've got our speed sign recognition, and that's something that's going to show up. I don't know if you can see it right there. But it is the local speed sign setting, which is really, really nice. You can turn that one on or off. From there, we've also got our rear camera. So rear camera, our enhanced parking aid is going to be this. So what that looks like over and above, so we can turn that off so that we don't see all of that extra jazz as we start to back up. Really a matter of preference there. And from there, we've got our blind spot system. So our blind spot system lets us know if anybody's entered the blind spot on either side of the vehicle. So if we turn that system on and off for a second, just so you can see. So see how that highlights orange? Lets us know if somebody's entered the blind spot on either side of the vehicle. Let's turn it back on for a second there. There you go. So as you can see there, so it lets us know if anybody's entered the blind spot either side. So it's really, really useful setting to have. Okay, from there, we've got our trailer blind spot. So as I was mentioning before, if we enter the dimensions of the trailer into the vehicle, not only will it cover the actual vehicle, but it's also going to cover the length of the trailer, letting us know if anybody's entered the blind spot in the vehicle or the trailer. Trailer sway control. If the vehicle senses that there's a trailer sway going on, it'll automatically apply braking to the engine in order to be able to control that sway. Cross traffic alert. If the vehicle senses a potential collision because somebody's coming perpendicular from us, so the left or the right side, you'll get a message on screen letting you know that there's a potential collision. Reverse brake assist. If we're backing up and if you don't see an obstacle, or whether you see it or not, but if there's a possibility that there's going to be a rear end collision from you backing up, with this enabled, the vehicle will automatically brake. From there, we've also got a driver alert, which is tied into the lane keeping system. So if we get too many warnings about going into our lane without signaling, the vehicle will tell us that we should probably take a break. So it's very smart from that perspective. Actually, I think that's it there. Excellent. Next up is going to be our 911 assist, which we've already gone over. Vehicle will automatically dial 911 if it senses a collision. From there, we've got some basic vehicle settings. So our sound settings, so our treble, mid-range, bass, etc. Our basic clock settings. So we can get into the clock setting 2 ways. We can either press the clock setting there, or we can just press on the time at the top. And as you can see, we can either increase or decrease an hour or a minute. change between AM and PM, or we can switch between that 24 or that 12-hour time mode. So if you prefer the military time, you've got the capabilities to do that. Automatic daylight savings time. What that's going to do is it's automatically going to spring us forward or fall us back an hour depending on the time of year. Automatic time zone update. If we go to the west coast or east coast, whatever the case may be, it's automatically going to change the time based off of our GPS location for the vehicle. Okay, there we go. And basic radio. Now this button is actually dynamic. So we have AM or FM that's selected. It's going to look like this. So you've got the radio text that's there and the number of preset pages. So I always recommend preset pages updated to 5 or the maximum setting. And the reason why, when it updates, I'll show you something. 3, 2, 1, and there we go. Now let's look at this. Now we all of a sudden have up to 30 individual presets that we can save here, so really useful. But watch what happens when we change the source to Sirius XM. Let's jump back into our audio settings for a second there and go back into, now all of a sudden it's changed from radio to Sirius XM. So we've got a number of options. We can set certain categories, we can turn on a parental lock, we can go different starts, lock channels, skip channels. So there are a ton of different options that are available there. And literally all we did was we went from our AM FM into our Sirius. So we've got the ability to change out certain settings, which is really, really neat. From there, we've got some basic vehicle settings. So some basic vehicle settings, we've got the ability to select how long the vehicle idles for, so our 30-minute max. Rear occupant alert, let's listen to what that sounds like. Really, really neat. So it's a super useful feature. From there, we've got easy entry exit. What that's going to do is when you turn the vehicle off, it's automatically going to slide your chair backwards. So that seat adjustment in order for you to easily get out of the vehicle. The My Key system, what that's going to let you do is create certain limitations for the key fob. So one of the big benefits of that is, let's say if you're lending your car out to somebody and you don't want them to speed excessively, or if you want to pull a prank on a spouse, you've got the ability to set up certain limitations for an individual fob. You can set it so that they maybe can't go faster than 100. Maybe the radio can't turn on until they actually click on their seatbelt. So there are a lot of features and functionalities there. Remote start setup. You've got the ability to remote start directly through the key fob or through your cell phone. And when it happens, you can turn it off completely so that you can't remote start. Climate control. When you do remote start, what happens? Will the climate automatically go to our last settings, or will it automatically let the vehicle determine what the cabin temperature should be? Seats and wheel. Will it automatically turn on the heated seat and the heated steering wheel? Yes or no? And then the duration of the remote start, so 5, 10, or 15 minutes. And back from there. Next up, we've got a remote start setup, which we've already covered. Windows from there. So we've got the ability to remote open. Unfortunately, you do have to manually close, but let's hop outside for a second to see how the remote open process works. We do have the ability to roll the windows down while using the key fob. All we're going to do is, you can see there, the unlock button. We're just going to press that twice. On the second press, you have to hold. So we're going to click 1, 2, and hold. Watch this. Down they go. So amazing. Now, one thing to note is that it is powered down, but it's a manual lift up process. It's a really, really neat setting. I love the fact that you can do that inside of this vehicle. From there, we've got some basics for the wipers. So if we look there, we're going to, oh, helps if I actually click the button. There we go. So our courtesy wipe, always keep that one off. Our rain sensing wipers, what that's going to do is it's automatically going to adjust the speed of the wipers depending on how much rain is hitting the windshield. And we've got our rear wiper on. So what that means is when our wipers are on, if we put the car into reverse, it's automatically going to flip on that rear wiper for us. So definitely keep that one on. Power liftgate, do we want to enable or disable the switch on the outside of the vehicle? As we start to move down, we've got our lighting, so basic lighting options there. Give it a sec to load up. We've got our auto high beam. I do recommend keeping this one on, and the reason why is because it's automatically going to flip on our high beams for us, and then if the vehicle senses an oncoming vehicle, it's automatically going to dim them and then turn them off before bringing them back to life again. So really useful. Our auto lamp delay is when we lock the vehicle, do our lamps stay on for 10, 20, or 120 seconds. Moving down from there, we've got basics for our locks. So auto unlock, mislock, switch inhibitor, etc. Always make sure that you keep these things on. It's got to do with a few different things. So if we have the vehicle on and we leave with our key fob on us, it'll automatically lock the doors. It'll prevent people from being able to drive away, etc. Remote unlock. When the vehicle's unlocked on the remote, do all doors become unlocked, or is it just the driver's door? So a matter of security and personal preference there. And next up, we've got our mirrors. So mirrors, we've got a couple options there. Power folding, I believe, yeah, auto fold is going to be the option there. So when we lock the vehicle, do the side mirrors fold. Make sure you keep that one on. And last but not least, door keypad code. So this is something that Ford is notorious for in a good way. So you don't necessarily have to have the key fob with you in order to get into the vehicle. So all we have to do is enter a 5-digit code there. We can then set up multiple codes if you want to, but the look of that is actually just on the door. So if we look on the driver's side door there, as you can see, we've got some nice colored numbers there. So those do go away if you're not approaching the vehicle, so it's not constantly on, draining battery power. Super useful feature there. And backing out of that screen, that's going to be it for our basic vehicle settings. Some general settings now, so we can change the language between English, Spanish, or French, Celsius or Fahrenheit, liters per 100, miles per gallon, PSI changes, the beeping that we're getting here. So if that beeping drives you absolutely bonkers, don't worry about it, you can hit this in order to turn it off. From there, if for whatever reason the vehicle's giving you any sort of an issue, so the screen specifically, we can do a master reset, or if your Ford Pass is giving you an issue, just hit reset there in order to bring you back to factory defaults. That's going to be the basics of our general settings. From there, we've got some options for the display. So the display is very, very big, but for some people it might be a little bit distracting. So we've got the ability to turn the display off completely, press in order to turn it back on again, or we can go into a basic calming screen, so with the time and then with the current date. So again, really, really nice. So in order to take away a little bit of that added distraction, if you find that the home screen is a little bit too much. From there, we've got the ability to change the background, the brightness, or we can change between our auto mode, which means that the vehicle is going to automatically determine if the daytime or the nighttime version should be showing up. But look at the nighttime for a second here. I love the look of this. But again, if you don't like blue, you can have it so that it's the daytime mode permanently. I would personally keep it on the nighttime mode all the time. But again, that's my own personal preference. Play around with this a little bit and you'll find one that you end up absolutely loving the look of. Give it a second there. It should update back to the daytime mode. There we go. Perfect. All right, as we start to move down, we've now got our Valet Mode. Valet Mode essentially will lock the screen out unless you've entered a 4-digit number. So if we enter a 4-digit number, so something difficult like 1, 2, 3, 4, what'll happen is you can see we now can't go anywhere on the screen until we re-enter that number. If you're using this, don't use 1, 2, 3, 4. Use something a little bit more challenging. From there, we've got some basic ambient light settings, so we've got the ability to select between different light sources, which is really, really cool, and that's going to show up in a few different places. Let's take a look at that now. Okay, now ambient lighting, we do have in a few different places, as you can see there. We do have it in the cup holders along the back. We also do have it in a few spots along the back there, and just along the front. So if you take a look there, you can just kind of make out the lighting there. So it is really, really nice. It is in a few different spots inside of the vehicle. What do we have next? Our navigation, which we've already gone through the navigation settings. We've also got seats. Now this is really, really cool. So we do have the option to go through a couple different things for seats. So we've got the ability to turn on massage chair seats, which is so nice, so comfortable. Lower rolling, upper rolling, circular cushion, full recover, relax mode. Really, really nice. It's really cool and it's super comfortable. Really, really comfortable. Like, I love it. So really, really nice there. You do have the ability to either press that, or there is a hot button along the side of the seat in order to turn it on. In order to turn the massage seats off, we're just going to hit the adjust button. It'll turn it back off and restore it to your previously set settings. From there, we've got the ability to either turn it on for the driver or the passenger, and they both do have the massage chair seats in the ST model of the vehicle. So really, really neat. As we start to move down, we've got a lot of other settings. So our basic connectivity, we can turn Bluetooth off, or we can add a phone in or a Bluetooth enabled device. From there,
search for your vehicle on your device and select it once it is found.
That's where we're going to add in a phone. Ford Pass Connect. So the vehicle does have a built-in modem. So with Ford Pass Connect, you can use it as a wireless hotspot for up to 10 devices, but you do need to have a data-only plan through your mobile provider. So you can use that as a hotspot. Really, really neat. From there, we've got Wi-Fi and automatic updates. So I do recommend turning Wi-Fi on, and the reason why is because when you're at home, it'll automatically update the vehicle for you if you've got that setting enabled. So I do recommend turning that one on, because one of the big reasons why, it'll automatically update the system software for you. So if there are any available downloads for the vehicle, any available software updates, it'll automatically do it. So I do recommend keeping that one enabled to make sure you're always up to date. From there, we've got some basic mobile apps, our Apple CarPlay, which we can easily get rid of, as well as some basic voice control. So the voice control settings are actually really neat. We've got 3 options there. I want you to listen to something for a second. 94.9.
Tuning to FM 94.9.
Okay. So it's given us a message letting us know that it's changed the station. But watch what happens when we turn the advanced mode on. 97.7. Okay. We didn't get a confirmation message, but look at this. It's changed the station for us. So what happens is with the voice control, the advanced mode, we just won't get as many notifications. As we move down, we've got our phone confirmation, which I always recommend keeping that one turned on. Big reason why is because when we make a phone call, it'll say, will you like to call such and such person? So it's just a confirmation, making sure we're calling the right person. From there, we've got our voice command list. So when we press the voice command button, this is going to be the command list. So really a matter of preference, whether or not that one shows up. We can easily toggle it off if you don't like it.